The NFL Combine's finally over, and we're going to run a 7-round mock draft. I'm going to control all of the NFC East teams so we can get some randomness in this draft. We're doing 7 rounds just to see what it looks like on the PFF mock draft simulator and what it's going to select for these players. Before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're doing mock drafts all the time. We're looking at the 2025 NFL draft all the time. Analysis, news, advanced analytics, everything's right here. Click that button, stop missing out. But we want to dig into this draft. I do not know how long it's going to take. Also selected to go a little bit slower on the speed. I did not adjust any of the settings, so it's pretty much packaged how it usually is. And I'm drafting for all the NFC East teams. My first pick will obviously be with the Giants, but let's start the draft here. We're waiting. Travis Hunter, first pick off the board. Abdul Carter to the Browns, which means the Giants are now stepping up. And I do not know what they did with quarterback in the offseason, so we're going to come over here. We're going to draft Cam Ward. Patriots go Mason Graham. T-Mac goes Jaguars. Burden, Raiders. Shedeur Sanders goes to the Jets. James Pierce to the Bears. Malachi Starks to the Niners. Let's make sure we didn't miss any picks here. So, Mason Graham to the Patriots. T-Mac to the Jaguars. Luther Burden to the Raiders. Shedeur Sanders to the Jets, filling in that void there. Will Campbell to the Panthers. That's a big get. Top offensive lineman off the board. Jahdae Barron to the Saints. James Pierce did well at the Combine. He's up there. He should have been up there all along. Malachi Starks to the Niners. The Dallas Cowboys are on the clock. Running backs deep here. We have some other positions of need. Offensive tackle. We got Mike Green. Josh Simmons. I think Josh Simmons is a great get. I get the knee issue. I like Mike Green a lot. There's a lot of good options here. Michael Williams, Mike Green. What are we looking at here? What are we wanting? Or do we just take the Ashton Jeanty? I think Ashton Jeanty's too easy. Tyler Warren would be a huge, huge addition to the tight end core. Like, they got jabronis at tight end, but we don't need a good tight end because we can get by with jabronis. I believe we pull the trigger, we go Mike Green. That just seems like a Cowboys pick anyways. Dolphins go Tyler Warren. Kenneth Grant goes to the Colts. You got Campbell to the Falcons. Ashton Jeanty's a Cardinal. Walter Nolart's in the Bucks. Mika Igbukwe to the Broncos. Matthew Golden, riser with that 4.29. Looks like he goes to the Texans, right? To the Texans, Matthew Golden. Coming back here, we have some huge picks that ran off the board. Tyler Warren to the Dolphins. That's a nasty selection with the wide receiver core they got there. Kenneth Grant to the Colts. Jack Campbell to the Falcons. Ashton Jeanty to the Cardinals is huge. Derek Harmon going this side to the Bengals. That's kind of new for the PFF simulator. Josh Simmons starting to fall in the drafts. Walter Nolan to the Bucks. Mika Igbukwe and Bo Nix. That's going to be a good pair. That would be a good pair. Will Johnson to the Steelers, falling in this draft. I get it. Some of these guys are going to fall further than usual. Michael Williams to the Vikings. Matthew Golden, big riser at the Combine, going to the Texans. That could possibly happen. How high are you going to jump up his value if he goes to the Texans? Kelvin Banks to the Rams. O'Marion Hampton backing up Derrick Henry to start things off. And he's going to get the torch passed on to him. Gray Zabel to the Lions. Now I'm on the clock. Washington Commanders. What's there at offensive tackle? Because we had some runs there. Connerly. Alright, that got zapped out. Let's look at edge. Donnie E is there. Nick Scorton's there. Let's look at wide receiver. Is Luther Burden there? Did I read that name off yet? No, yeah, he gone. Who else is there? What's cornerback looking like? Is one of my dudes, Trey Amos. I don't like pulling on him that early. This is where the draft gets kind of wonky, isn't it? This is where the draft gets a little bit tough. This is where it gets a little bit tough. I like Donnie E. I like Donnie E from Boston College. Come on down. Jalen Walker to the Bills. Josh Connerly to the Chiefs. Now I'm on the clock. This is usually where a stud player, a good defender, falls to the Eagles. We got Demetrius Knight. We got Scorton. Those are pretty interesting selections there for them. Colston Loveland fell. Could have did that one for the Commanders, but they have a good tight end already from last year's draft. He's falling. Let's see how far he falls. Let's see here. Nick Scorton, come on down to the Eagles from TAMU. Now we're in the first round. Browns go. Darius Alexander. Giants are on the clock. They have Theo Johnson. I think it's almost impossible to pass on Colston Loveland here. You also got Demetrius Knight just looking at you. It's so hard to pass on him right now. You did just draft a quarterback with your last pick. I think it's really hard to pass on Colston. You don't need him. You don't need him, but that's a hell of a talent right there. That could be a difference-making talent. Going with your quarterback. Ooh, Maxwell Hairston going to the Titans. JT Sanders off the board. Alec Ameyer. Landon Jackson. Trey Amos to the Jets. Demetrius Knight to the Niners. Looking over these picks. Trey Amos to the Jets. Landon Jackson to the Bears. Prince goes to the Saints. Tyleik Williams, big defensive lineman, to the Bears. So the Bears go edge and defensive line here. Alec Ameyer to the Pats. I say that wrong all the time. TJ Sanders to the Jags. Harrison to the Titans. Interesting picks here. Cowboys are on the clock. Running back, wide receiver, positions of needs. Offensive tackle. I don't think I saw too many tackles come off the board here recently. That is something we could be doing here. I think running back could be something to look at right now as you got your pick. I'm going Judkins. I don't think you're going to see a running back with his size and just athleticism in the second round ever again. I don't think you ever will. I think he's got a profile of a first rounder. We're doing it. Quinshawn Judkins coming off the board. Betch, Turner, Jaden Higgins coming off the board in the second round. I like Jaden Higgins. Resterbro going to the Broncos. They're drafting 2 wide receivers. They're loading up. Tyler Booker. I probably would have drafted him for the Cowboys. The Commanders are on the clock. What did they draft last time? They drafted edge. We have a sexy edge looking at us in the face. Another sexy tight end looking at us in the face. Going over these picks before we make the selection. Cam Scatabo going to the Lions. Dave Montgomery, knee issue. They're getting the insurance policy. Tackle to the Ravens. Edge to the Panthers. Tyler Booker to the Texans. They're killing this draft. Alfred Collins to the Chargers. Another wide receiver to the Broncos. One of my favorite cornerbacks goes to the Seattle. Jaden Higgins goes to the Bengals. One of my favorite safeties are going to the Dolphins. Dolphins are having a good draft here. And so on and so on. I'm on the clock here with the Washington Commanders. I already got an edge, but I got another edge looking at me. I don't know if I want to pull the trigger here on this other edge. What else I got looking? I got me some good running backs to look at. I got wide receivers. I got Kyle Kennard looking at me at edge. I can't do... My man fell. Benjamin Morrison's losing stock. Pulling trigger there, getting him to the Washington Commanders. Elijah Arroyo going to the Bills. Dalton Kincaid has some competition. They do kind of like to use 2 tight ends. Josiah Stewart, edge to the Chiefs. Another prominent player here falls to the Eagles. Who they draft last time? Nick Scorton. They're going 2 edges. They're going 2 edges, and they're just going to soak it up. That's the Eagles' way. They double-dipped at corner last year, and they'll just take value. They'll just let it come. Maybe not to this degree with 2 edges, but we're doing it in this simulation. Round 3 to the Giants. Our first 2 picks off the board. We're starting off the 3rd round. Cam Ward, Colston Loveland. And the Giants are looking at some good running backs here. We have Tyron Tracy. We can wait a little bit. However, this is a deep running back class. I would expect to look at it. Tackle, offensive line is something we definitely need to look at. We got Donovan Jackson there. We got a Ohio State product right there looking at us. Interior offensive line. Again, it's not that deep. We're going Donovan Jackson here for the Giants, for the G-Men. Dylan Sampson going to the Chiefs. Fantasy footballers just lit up with that. Some other big picks coming off the board here that we got to discuss here. Ooh, Joshua Farmer to the Niners. Let's look at some of these picks here that just came off the board. Dylan Sampson to the Chiefs, Trevion Henderson to the Browns, and Caleb Johnson to the Raiders. Big fantasy football picks right there. And then we're looking edge to the Jags, Terrence Ferguson to the Saints, Cameron Williams fell to the Bears. They're getting offensive line for Caleb Williams, Sebastian Castro to the Panthers. Cowboys are now on the clock. Looking at our picks here. Mike Green, Quinshon Judkins. We had to pull on Quinshon Judkins because you're not finding a first-round talent at running back in the second round where they're at. We just had to do it. Edge, tackle. We got our edge. Offensive line, I want to look at that. And we do have some players here to look at, but let's look at the interior too. It's always good. And offensive line's always something for us to stack up on here. Let's look at the values at the top here of the board. Kyle Kennard's still there. He went, but we already drafted an edge. Chris Paul's right there. Jordan Phillips, Mason Taylor still there. Good talent. Jalen Noel, if you're looking at wide receiver, we might be able to get him with a pick later or something. Jalen Royals, Matt William. Honestly, the values are kind of soaked up. More interior defensive line here. Chris Paul at linebacker. That could be something to go with. We're also in the third round. This is a good time to get backups, developmental prospects here to look at. So one thing I'm thinking about, interior offensive line, Jordan Phillips. I think that seems like a Cowboys pick. Not sexy, but that's what we're rolling with. Commanders on the clock. Edge to the Cardinals. Another tackle to the Patriots. So now we're on the clock with the Commanders here. Our last couple picks. Donnie E. and Benjamin Morrison. So we had a defensive draft. Wide receivers, a position of need. We did just make a trade for Deebo Samuel, so we're not really pressed. Cornerback, let's look for that. We got safety looking at us right in the face. This is a position of the draft where you can look for depth. Depth is all rounds, really. And you can develop. I think cornerback's zapped up for a bit. And it is. It is. So we're going to have to wait a little bit. That talent well's dried up. Let's look at offensive tackle. We got Jonah. We got Wyatt Millam. We're going to pull the trigger. No, we're not. I don't like that pick. Let's keep moving. Kyle Kennard's looking at us at edge. That's probably the value. I don't want to draft another edge. The fan base is going to scream at me. I don't want to do that. That's just the value right now. Kevin Winston. I think some people look at positions and they go too crazy on these mocks. I got to take the value. I got to take the value here. I'm going another edge. I'm not supposed to. That's not really smart. But now we're waiting for our Eagles pick. A lot of picks coming off the board right now here. We're in the third round. This Devin Neal to the Jets. Isaiah Bond to the Saints. Some big picks off the board here. We got to read these off. So down here, Jalen Noel to the Colts to get more speed at wide receiver. Chris Paul to the Bengals. Wyatt Millam to the Seattle Seahawks. Kevin Winston to the Bucks. Mason Taylor to the Broncos. Jalen Royals to the Steelers. Tackle to the Chargers. Savion Williams to the Packers. That's a good fit. RJ Harvey to the Jaguars. That's a good talent. Tez Johnson to the Texans. They're double tapping wide receiver. Chris Grant to the Rams. Edge to the Ravens. Another running back comes off the board. Devin Neal to the Jets. They're drafting a running back every year. Isaiah Bond to the Saints. That's a big-time talent. Anthony Belton to the Browns. Deion Walker. Now I'm on the clock. I am on the clock here. We got some players falling to us. Let's look at what we picked, though. I don't think it matters. We double-tapped edge. I double-tapped edge with two teams because they keep coming to us at a value here. They keep coming to us at a good discount. Trey Harris is right there. Trey Harris is right there. And he's got some size to him. He's got ball skills. Another wide receiver in this offense wouldn't hurt. And that PFF thinks that's a position of need. And this is not a talented wide receiver class. It's not like I can pull the trigger later in this draft. On day 2 right now, this is a good pick for the Eagles. This is a good pick. We had injuries at wide receiver last year. We had to make this move. I understand we got 2 good wide receivers, but we got to make a move to have depth and to keep getting talent there, especially when the price is right. Safety to Vikings, safety to Dolphins, edge to the Niners. Harold Fannin going 100 overall to the Rams. That's a good spot for him. Dylan Gabriel going in the 4th round. Linebacker to the Browns. Now I'm on the clock with the Giants right now. Ward, Colston, Donovan Jackson. A sexy draft for these guys. Now we're looking at what's available. And one of my favorite running backs is looking at us in the face right now. I am very compelled for that. I am very compelled. That way we can have 2 good running backs, have a little committee going, a lot of upside. We have a center looking at us. I think DJ Giddens combined with Tyrone Tracy, I think the upside with that's so immense that I think I got to do that. I have DJ Giddens not too far off from the top running backs in this draft. I think this is a tremendous value in the 4th round. Now let's go to the full draft. Watch these picks come off. Jalen Milroe to the Raiders. CJ West to the Jets. Gunnar Helm going in the 4th round to the Saints. Jonas Sanker to the Colts. JJ Pegg to the Bucks. Some big picks just came off the board. I'll read them all to you. But waiting for something huge to happen here. But here we go. Some big ones here that I'll read off. Will Howard to the Steelers. Another wide receiver to the Broncos. 3 wide receivers drafted. It's almost like me getting the values, except for they're not taking values anymore. They're just drafting wide receivers. Safety to the Colts. Edge to the Niners. Gunnar Helm to the Saints. Torrey Horton to the Broncos. That's the fascinating pick as they draft 3 wide receivers in 4 rounds. Eagles are now on the clock. Our last few picks. 2 edges, a wide receiver. All very talented, all good values here. Now we're on the clock. Jaden Blue. I'm not in love with him as a prospect. We got some interior offensive line looking at us. We can't take another edge. That's just not smart. We got running backs. We drafted a running back last year around this time. I think the smart move is just go with the guard. Go with Willie Lampkin. That's a good name for a guard. And just to add more depth. 4th round, we get depth. Some good picks coming off the board. Damian Martinez to the Chiefs. That's very sexy in the 4th round. Jaden Blue to the Bills. More competition in that backfield. And they got to pay Cook. Maybe they don't want to pay Cook. Who knows in this simulation. But now I'm on the clock with the Giants. Sexy draft so far. This is the sexy draft. Do I double tap quarterback? No. No. Hell no. We need offensive linemen. We need more of that. We got another tackle looking at us. We can just pull that trigger. We're good at running back. And I think that's the move. That's the move. That's the move that makes sense when you're looking at value. You can go linebacker here. I like Kaiser a little bit. I think that might be the move. Just get talent at offensive line because doesn't matter. You move guys around, do what you need to do. There we go. We got to keep our quarterback upright. We got to keep getting talent there. Now we're waiting for our turn. Players coming off the board. Jarquez Hunter to the Titans. Kyle Williams. Some running backs coming off the board. The Commanders are on the clock. Things are getting a little less sexy now. Running back to the Patriots. Mitchell Evans to the Jags. Jarquez Hunter to the Titans. The Michigan running back to the Vikings. Riley Leonard goes to the Niners. Rashard Smith. They double tapped a running back in this draft. The Ravens did. I don't see that happening. Now we're on the clock here for the Washington Commanders. We're on the clock here. We're having a good draft here. Kinda. We're going defense heavy. We had to double tap edge. due to the values. Due to the values coming our way. Looking at what's here. Interior offensive line. More edge. Trevor Etienne's right there. More edge. Kobe King's right there. We are getting zapped up in some of these position groups. I'll say that. So we're looking back up here to the top. None of the quarterbacks at once. So we're good at quarterback. I think we get a developmental prospect for the interior offensive line. We've been too sexy so far. Tight end goes to the Bears. 49ers forfeited pick. I'm on the clock here. Cowboys are up. Pretty sexy draft so far. Mike Green, Quinshon Judkins, Jordan Phillips. I think Quinshon Judkins ends up in the first round. We're looking at here. We got a quarterback looking at us in the face that everybody likes in Jackson Dart. We got Dak Prescott. We've hit on some late round quarterbacks before. Wide receivers dead. There's some other players I could go with. But Jackson Dart to the Cowboys. Come on down. Let's just keep that draft sex. It's the 5th round. Forfeited by Atlanta Falcons. Trevor Etienne to the Cardinals. Tight end to the Bengals. Another edge to the Colts. Pat Bryant to the Dolphins. Giants are on the clock here. Cam Ward, Gittins, Colston Loveland. They're just loading up in this draft. They're just loading up in this draft here. We need DB. And let's go with Elijah Huzzy from North Carolina. Let's just roll with that. Off the board here. We're almost done here. Eagles are on the clock. We're in the 5th round. Here's what we've looked at. I don't think it matters who we picked previously now, except we just don't draft an edge. Wide receiver, guard. Just being smart with our picks. Coming down here, looking at what we got. Might look at Kobe King here. I like him a lot. I think that's the pick. Cody Simon. Denzel Burke going to the Eagles. Just get that cheap DB. Just get him. Saw him at Ohio State too many times making plays. Kyle McCord goes to the Browns. That could be a sneaky one. Nick Nash to the Steelers. Denzel Burke to the Eagles, which I drafted. Eagles are back on the clock here. And we're loaded. And we're almost done with the 5th round. Once we're done with the 5th round, we're done with the Eagles. Colby King's looking at us. Like I said, I like Colby King. I think I like him for this spot. I think I'm going to make this draft pick for them. Just stacking talent. McLaughlin to the Texans. Joyner to the Titans. And I'm on the clock here. Looking at talent. So, looking here. Cody Simon, not going to make that pick. I don't like Yarns. Emory Jones Jr. looking at me. Rourke. Just trying to find some late round guy that I like. Taj Brooks. Alright, Jay Higgins. Coming back up here. We can really just do whatever we want. Tyler Cooper. No, wait. Let's look at our picks. I don't think it matters at the 5th round. We drafted guard. I think getting interior offensive linemen is always huge. Let's roll with... let's get some speed at running back. Let's get Tootin here. Let's do that. Let's just make a splash here. Cowboys are now on the clock. Double tapping at running back, considering what we saw last year, might be smart, and there's some talent on the board. Ollie Gordon's right there. LeQuint's right there. Like I said, Ollie Gordon, come on down. Ollie Gordon, come on down to the Cowboys. There we are. Now we got a position of strength here. Lindenberg comes off the board. Cowboys are on the clock here. Looking at what's there. You know what? Tyler Cooper off the board for the Dallas Cowboys. We're getting a good offensive line for them. We're just rebuilding that up. Cowboys are on the clock again. 5th round's juiced. The 5th round is juiced. It is juiced up right now for the Dallas Cowboys. And we are getting some talent here. Let's look at tight end here, because I like the tight end class, and one of my guys could be here. One of my guys that I kind of like. Oh, there's more. I like Nesbitt. I might use that for one of my last picks. How many more picks I got? I might use him later. I like Nesbitt. I liked him as a prospect a long time. Wide receiver. Let's see where we're at here. Wells. I'm at Ricky White later. All right. Cody Simon, come on down to the Dallas Cowboys. Add in some depth. Tight end to Bills, cornerback. Another tight end to the Chargers. Tackle to the Titans. Yarns to the Browns. Something to note there for the long term. Linebacker to Seattle. Tight end to the Niners. And the Cowboys are on the clock. We've had a sexy draft here for the Dallas Cowboys. Mike Green, Quinshon Judkins, Jordan Phillips, Jackson Dart, Ollie Gordon, Tyler Cooper, Cody Simon. We got 2 picks in the 6th round. What are we going to look at here for the Dallas Cowboys? What is here available? I'm not feeling running back right now. I love LaQuinn Allen. I love him. Jay Higgins, another linebacker. Dean Clark. Moving on down, Ricky White. You know what? Luke Lashley. Fuck it. Ricky White, come on down to the Dallas Cowboys. You had a bad combine, but you fell enough in the draft. Come on down. We're getting that talent. Taj Brooks, Higgins, Jalen Smith, Jordan James. Some of these guys I wanted to fall are not falling. Samuel Brown. Commanders are on the clock here. Interesting spot here. We went guard, edge, cornerback. We have 3 more picks left to make here. We can kind of have some fun with this. But obviously, probably the most sensible move as I'm looking down here is, we got some speed at wide receiver looking at us. We got Marks looking at us too. We can't have Woody Marks fall anymore. He's going to the Commanders. We just need more depth, more quality depth. We had injuries at running back. We can spend a late pick on a good running back this year. Cowboys are on the clock here. I don't think I can triple tap running back today. R.J. Mickens to the Cowboys. Soaking up that talent. Coming off the board here. Wide receiver to the Ravens. Jimmy Horn goes to the Raiders. Cameron Jackson. Gadsden goes to the Raiders. They get a tight end. Edge to the Patriots. LeJohntay Wester goes 7th round to the Chargers. Giants are on the clock here. What can we get? Let's make a home run play for a new quarterback. What would be that home run play? We got to go to wide receiver because there's some wide receivers just going, huh? Theo Weiss, I don't like him. He was a former 5-star that's done nothing. Julian Fleming, former 5-star that did nothing. There ain't nothing. There ain't nothing here. It's zapped. Running back's not zapped. Should I go a second running back? I guarantee there's a good running back there that I like. That's just fallen. Sanders I like. Donovan Edwards. I can't make that. I just don't think that's a wise decision to make. We got some quarterbacks here. What if it doesn't work out? We're going here. We're getting the safety from Wisconsin. Get a good pedigree. Will Shepard to the Patriots. Guard to Jaguars. Curtis Schwartz finally comes off the board. Another running back to the Steelers. And the picks keep flying off the board here. Colts are up. A wide receiver. Montreal Johnson goes to the Bears. And now the Commanders are on the clock here. Let's think about this. We're on the clock. We drafted Woody Marks with their last pick. Coming down here. we're getting a tackle. We're getting Logan Brown from Kansas. Just getting more depth on the offensive line. It's never going to hurt. This is good. Elijah Alston for the Bears. For a second, I thought Elijah Arroyo was on there twice. Giants are on the clock. What can we do? I think just getting a power 4 player with a lot of upside. I think just stack and tackle. Xavier Truss from Georgia. Getting a Georgia Bulldog this late. Just take pedigree. Now we're looking here. I think just getting interior offensive line to help this team out. Just help them rebuild. Just get talent on the back end. Commanders are back up on the clock. We're looking at what's available. Maybe we go a little sexy, but sexy's gone. Sexy's definitely gone from this draft. I keep looking for a name I like from what I've watched. Here it is. Tight end from Utah, Brant Kuithe. Oh, I remember him. He was a big-time Devy prospect. Devy is where you play college fantasy football. We were all over him back in the day a few years ago. That's the draft. I've earned another award from the draft, probably from completing a 7-round mock right here. That's the draft. Let me know what you think in the comments below. That one was a long one. 7 rounds of fun with the end of the combine. Let me know what picks I got wrong, what picks I got right. Obviously, I had to take some values and double tap some positions. It was the edge with 2 teams. We're going to do this with every division because that was fun. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.